In Lucha Libre tradition, a mask isn't just a mask, it's an identity. There's so much wrapped in what wrestlers' masks mean when there's a codified set of rules around them, which may seem pretty weird to an outsider. Wrestlers have been wearing masks for over 100 years. While they may have originally been something to simply make a heel seem a little meaner or a babyface a bit more mysterious in the US or Japan, in Mexico they have come to represent who that performer is in the public eye, and that tradition has now spread throughout the world. Masked Mexican wrestlers don't share very much about their personal lives. For instance, it was a huge deal when Penta brought his wife and daughters to his WWE debut in January 2025, because he adheres to tradition and rarely talks about them.
I will show the world who is Penta El Zero!
For masked luchadors, the mask is who they are. Fans don't know their real name, or in some cases, even where they're from. That said, one personal element that the mask itself can represent is if a luchador comes from a family of wrestlers. For just one example, the performer now known as Santos Escobar in WWE previously wrestled under a mask as El Hijo del Fantasma, which translates to Son of Phantasmo. He is in fact the son of El Fantasma, who heads the Mexico City Boxing and Professional Wrestling Commission, and still wears his mask to this day. Escobar had to remove his mask when he lost a version of a Luchas de las Apuestas match at Triple Mania 26 in 2018. Luchas de Apuestas literally translates to gambling fights, and they involve a wrestler putting something of value on the line if they lose. For unmasked performers, they may be forced to cut their hair or retire. For those who wear masks, it's usually the mask that's on the line, and if it comes off, it does so forever. Everything else comes out too. Personal info is often announced right then and there to the live crowd. For example, the performer who now wrestles in WWE as Andrade formerly worked in Mexico as La Sombra. He got a mask for good in 2015, and it was confirmed that he's the son of the luchador Brillante. He had wrestled as Brillante Jr. near the start of his career, but fans didn't know he was the same person because of the mask. The permanent removal of a mask isn't just a rule wrestlers self-enforce to maintain the integrity of Luchas de Apuestas matches and the masks themselves. Mexico has a Lucha Libre commission that actually makes sure these edicts are followed. Wrestlers who lose their masks are allowed to keep performing, but they have to do so unmasked. That's why it's such a dastardly heel move for someone to try to remove their opponent's mask in a match. There have been some exceptions. When he first came to WWE in 2020, Escobar wore a mask for a while, though it was totally different in appearance, and it was really just a prop for him to dramatically take off. Rey Mysterio Jr. famously lost his mask in WCW in 1999, and competed without it for around 2 years, until the company went out of business.
I felt like I was naked. There's some sort of protection that I get every time I put the mask on.
When Mysterio signed with WWE in 2002, the then head of the company, Vince McMahon, reportedly asked the Lucha Libre Commission if Mysterio could have his mask back, and they agreed. Another luchador who lost his mask in WCW, Juventud Guerrera, was also allowed to put his mask back on. Though it's largely fallen by the wayside now, wrestlers once strictly adhered to kayfabe, never revealing the scripted nature of the show in public. Heels didn't drive or eat dinner at restaurants with baby faces. They maintained character at, say, the grocery store. Masked luchadors took it one step further, wearing their masks in public basically all the time. The most famous example of this is El Santo, who became a folk hero and even had a successful acting career, all while wearing his famous silver mask. Santo wore his mask everywhere to keep his identity a secret. Over the 40-plus years he wore his mask, Santo's face was only revealed to the public once. After his retirement, Santo was a guest on the TV show Contrapunto in 1984. Without warning, Santo lifted up his mask to reveal his face for the very first time, with the host then revealing his personal information. Santo used the moment as a way to say goodbye to his fans. He died a week later and was buried with his mask on. Of course, there are occasions where having a flashy mask on is not only impractical, but also a security risk, specifically while traveling. Airport security has only gotten stricter, so you can imagine what it must be like for masked wrestlers when they arrive at an airport full of people only to be told to take their mask off. As much as it is part of their culture, security agents would need to make sure the face on a passport matches that of the person under the mask. With that in mind, masked wrestlers will often travel alone, especially when they fly internationally. They will take their mask off privately and travel with their face on display for the entire world to see. If a masked wrestler has followed all of the rules and worn their mask at all times, no one will know what they look like anyway. They usually fly solo because if a masked luchador travels with another performer who doesn't wear a mask, fans will more than likely connect the dots. This has become more of a challenge in the age of social media and smartphone cameras, where one slip of the mask could end up circulating around the web in seconds. Rey Mysterio was once Rey Mysterio Jr., not because of his father, but his uncle, the original Rey Mysterio.
My uncle, Rey Mysterio Sr., wore a mask at the beginning of his career, and I always wanted to be like him.
If you look at the designs of both of their masks, they're similar, but not exactly the same. That's because masks are largely non-transferable, even among family members. This isn't an official rule and up to the family involved, but it's usually the case. Another notable example is El Hijo de Santo, who wears a silver mask that's very similar to his dad's, but just slightly different. Same goes for his son, Santo Jr. The big exception is probably Blue Demon. Blue Demon Jr.'s mask is pretty much the same. Some fans have speculated that Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic, may inherit his dad's mask when Rey retires, but it isn't that simple. It would be breaking tradition for Dom to wear his dad's exact mask design, and it would be unusual for Dom to keep wrestling under his name if he adopts a mask, considering he was wrestled unmasked for years now. Dom did briefly wear a mask at WrestleMania 41, but took it off with a little difficulty during his entrance. That mask wasn't modeled after his dad's. It looked far more like that of the original Rey Mysterio.